I'm Brandon Amoroso, and this is the D2Z podcast, building and growing your business from a Gen Z perspective. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to D2Z, a podcast about using the Gen Z mindset to grow your business. I'm Gen Z entrepreneur Brandon Amoroso, founder and president of Electric, a retention as a service marketing agency. And today I'm talking with Roman Yoffe, the founder of Absolute Web, and actually a neighbor just a little bit to the north of me here in Miami. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
So before we dive into things, can you just give everybody a quick sort of background on yourself?
Sure. So I started back in 99. The full company name is actually Absolute Web Services. Back then, services was pretty sexy. But ever since, trends changed. So we dropped the services. So we're known as Absolute Web. But yeah, was exciting times, just kind of trial and error, learn, make mistakes, fix, redo things. So that was, pretty awesome. Started as just a general full service web dev. And then really last 12 years, decided to kind of focus on e-commerce mainly, narrow down. And then from there, we started building out WordPress WooCommerce. Then came Magento, Shopify, and BigCommerce. So yeah, pretty exciting. We have offices headquartered in Miami, Florida. We have a small office in LA, then Portugal in Lisbon, and 2 offices in Ukraine.
Awesome. And when you were first starting out the business, how did you go about sort of finding your founding team? Because I know one of the things you had mentioned to me in passing is that some of your team members have been with you for quite some time, which I think is really impressive, especially given the nature of, I feel like, just agencies in general. There's typically a lot of employee churn and turnover.
Yeah. Well, they were at the beginning, they were held hostage, as always. That's one of the, I guess, secrets. But yeah, I think it was a combination of things. Part of it was that we were kind of, I was building out my team initially, having people with a similar background, so to speak, from Eastern Europe, where we could connect with each other better, so to speak. And from there, it's started building out but it's been challenging. It certainly has been challenging. There was obviously some churn, but the core team, luckily and thankfully, stayed together. So really, very much blessed, so to speak, with great people.
And when, I guess, you're obviously as an operator and owner, what are some of the things that you're looking for when bringing on new team members, when it comes to like them being able to fit within your culture? And I'm sure there's a lot that goes into coordinating because you have various different sort of offices, and I'm sure that plays a factor in the culture of the business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's really it's one of the factors. Obviously, if we're talking about a dev position, candidate, so to speak, or a marketing, and for what office, there are different kind of criteria that we're looking for. But speaking here at Miami office, obviously we want someone who is passionate, passionate what he does, who could add value to our team, to our clients. And it's challenging to really find people. Unfortunately, as you know, it's you don't know until you try and you work with a person. So that's the reality. So still to this day, a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, I think especially when I was first starting Electric, there was a lot of that trial and error.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some people that panned out significantly, I guess, better than I would have expected. And then there are also some people who I maybe because I had this thought that, oh, like everybody would want to become like a manager or like build and grow their own teams. And so
Yeah.
I think I placed some people in positions that they didn't even want to be in the first place. And which I think was a learning lesson for me, that like not everybody wants to become a manager. Not everybody wants to like go on and start their own business.
Yeah.
And so like having that open conversation with the team and being able to meet them where they're at and also understand what their goals are so that the company can sort of help them achieve those, I think is pretty important.
Yeah, and things change over time, so you have it's important to constantly keep in contact and communicating. And what I've been doing for the past 5 years regularly, I would go to lunch with one of my team members every day. I like to eat, so
Yes.
you know that I eat a lot. I eat quality, and during that feast, so to speak, we have a conversation and really kind of reconnect. And people's priority change. I mean, over the years, we've seen a lot of folks start as single college person, and then they get married, then they buy a home, then then there's a child. So a lot of things and priorities change in people's life. It's important to know where they are in life, and of course what their goals are. Not always you can align and be the right fit. That's the reality of it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think at some point, like you can't force it either. And
Yeah.
there's a couple of conversations I had with two particular team members that I'm thinking of over the course of like the first 3 years, where they were just almost too afraid to start the conversation. But once I started it, they're like, yeah, like e-commerce isn't even like my interest or like long-term what I want to be doing. Like I'm interested in fashion. And so then it's like, okay, great. Well, let's figure out how to go and set you up for success. Hell, I'll even like help facilitate you getting a new role, and like you help us figure out how to backfill your position and what we should be looking for. But I think just having that authenticity and open transparency goes a long way in being able to like manage and work with a team.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really what we're here. We try to have as much of an open and real conversation internally here with our team and with our clients, because again, this is the best long-term strategy. Things, like you said, you can't force something onto someone unless they really want it and see a potential. So yeah, that's important.
So I want to sort of pivot into your decision to go only e-commerce. Sort of how did that arise? At what point did that happen? Was it a couple of years in? Was it 10 years down the line? Because I sort of have my own thoughts around specialization and why that did not take us as long as it did to get to this point.
Yeah, it took a while, but we tried being in Miami, based in Miami, as you know. We have hospitality here. Real estate is big, so we've been building out websites for doctors, attorneys. Then we got into real estate. For realtors, done a lot of real estate, custom real estate stuff, and then just custom build outs of all sorts. And a few things we wanted to have. It wasn't financially kind of rewarding, and we saw bigger opportunity. Once we started with a few e-commerce projects, we saw an opportunity for recurring revenue. There's a recurring need for e-commerce, and obviously at that time, it had a pretty significant potential, as it is today, but in terms of how fast it was growing. So we saw a few things that it was, kind of a potential of growth, potential of, and being specialized. Obviously, you can't be great at everything. You have so many different tech stacks to deal with when you're all over the place, and essentially when brands, clients looking at you, if you're just too widespread, it's hard. It's harder. So just like with anything in life, it is good to specialize, and some people even go even further to narrow down. We're kind of still handling 4 platforms. Obviously, lately there's been a lot more demand from the market in the Shopify ecosystem. So just kind of market dictates. But yeah, so we saw different things there. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think but just your comment about the confusing potential clients. I think even if it doesn't like impact your internal team, the ability to service multiple markets, it's a stronger selling point to prospects coming in the door that like, hey, this is all we do, this is all we know, and that's why like you should be working with us.
Yes.
I think that goes a long way. For us, and I think maybe it's because we're more like email and SMS marketing. So I think from a website development standpoint, there's definitely a lot of value in being specific, like very niche. But I don't know if it like I think it can be more detrimental to you from an email and SMS standpoint if you're not, just because it's so different, like doing B2B email marketing than it is doing direct to consumer email marketing. Both the platforms, the way you do reporting, I mean, quite literally everything is different. And so the reason why we ended up specializing is because more and more of our clients were coming in on the e-commerce side, and also our team was getting stretched too thin. So they couldn't be experts in both HubSpot and in Klaviyo. Navigating between the 2 different platforms, for us as an agency, setting up our internal operations around reporting to be able to support both HubSpot and Klaviyo, and then determining like what client's going to be on which system was just a nightmare. And so we went only Shopify. And then from there, we started shedding some of our other services. So like we used to do paid ads. We don't do paid ads anymore at all. So like we're purely a customer retention marketing agency. So now I feel like it's gotten to the point where if somebody's asking like a tech partner or people in that Shopify Plus ecosystem, hey, we need to improve our retention rates and increase lifetime value. Like, oh, we're on the short list of marketing companies that you would go to for that. But the only reason that happened is because we don't do anything else. And like all of our messaging and material is purely about retention marketing. And so there's a lot of, we sort of just fell into it, but then there's a lot of these sort of secondary benefits that have come out of it that I wasn't even necessarily expecting. And now that I know it though, like going into like new business ventures or thinking about how to take electric from here to continue to grow it, I'll be a lot more I'll be a lot more informed on that topic. But like that's why when we're looking at how we continue to grow, it's how does it fit into like retention marketing. So like we're going to be supporting direct mail this year, but that's because it easily plugs into Klaviyo. It makes sense. It's another customer touch point in the retention life cycle of a customer. So it's not a distraction, which I think is really valuable.
Yeah, I think I have to add one big thing is, again, it's just sometimes no matter how big your team is, I mean, it can grow into, of course, hundreds and thousands of people, but it's just hard to be an expert on everything and to have a focus. And yes, on the customer side, I think it's just makes people feel more in the right place. You want to go to a specialist when you need quality work done. So
yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. So are you seeing more and more of your business coming through Shopify, or like of the 4 platforms that you support? I feel like that gives you a sort of nice insight into some trends around tech stack selection.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of no secret that Shopify right now is leading in terms of demand, customer demand on the D2C side, at least. Yeah, there's a lot more coming in from Shopify, Shopify ecosystem. And, some of our strengths are, personalization, customization, a lot of subscription-based, clients are brands coming into us. That's our strength. We've done some really cool work on recharge and such. So and custom headless as well. But did I answer your question? Because I kind of started.
Yeah, no, I think so.
way.
I mean, I guess I asked it in sort of a leading way, which was which platforms are you seeing the most acceleration on? And I feel like it's
Yeah,
Shopify, at least in my perspective.
yeah,
And it sounds like from yours, it is probably leaning that way as well.
yeah. And you can look at performance of stock of these platforms, the price of their stock, and you'll see where the demand is, who's leading. So yeah, very excited. I mean, everyone else has, like I said, their own niche, and strengths. Magento, BigCommerce, WordPress, WooCommerce. Certain clients have their specific needs that are, kind of a best fit on a specific platform. So, but I don't believe that Shopify wants and will be able to have and fit perfectly every single merchant's needs, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
And I think it's getting closer and closer to that, though.
it is getting, but hopefully the market will respond and there'll be other opportunities. But yeah, they're getting their market share keeps growing, and very excited.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at what point do they, I think what's going on in the Shopify ecosystem is going to be pretty interesting with the various different apps, because they all raised a bunch of money off of the sort of skyrocketing growth of e-commerce in 2021. And like, what happens from here? Is it more some consolidation? Do some of them just run out of runway? I think it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, you probably know the answer. We're all seeing it. There's consolidation in the industry. There's a lot of layoffs. Even some of the best companies, they're forced. They have to get leaner. So laying off staff. The demand has subsided a bit, for software tech, and which is normal. And now it's time to get stronger, be better. Yes, some of them unfortunately will go out of business. And again, it's part of the cycle, the great long term. So, but the big ones, the great ones that have a great solution will stick around.
What do you think? Like, your business has obviously been around longer than mine has, and so you've seen this is sort of the first economic, I guess, downturn or industry downturn that we're going through. But what have you done in the past, and what do you think are some of the qualities or things that you've done within Absolute Web to make it resilient, so that you're able to not only sustain through these periods of economic uncertainty, but still grow?
It really comes down to some of the basics. You just have to work harder than others, and we still kind of live in a very competitive world, and not everybody can be a winner. So but what we do is work harder, work better, get leaner. It's a must. We try to again highlight our strengths, communicate to them, to our customers, and agencies. We are e-commerce kind of solutions companies, are in a fairly decent place when it comes to kind of recessions. It's not 100% recession proof, not alcohol or casino, right? But we're close. We could be close to them if we try harder. So yeah, it's coming down to the basics. Try harder. There's going to be more outreach needed. Pandemic kind of got unfortunately a lot of people, including us, in some way relaxed. It feels like you go to a sauna. It felt like there was a bit like after the sauna, your muscles are relaxed. So now we're out of the sauna and we're back to 50 degrees, and it's gonna get colder out there. I just came up with that. I didn't do this before, but by the way, it's on the fly, so it could be some cleaning up or editing for you on this one.
I'm gonna steal that one for myself.
Sure.
So I want to pivot into Triple E so that we have time to cover that. I guess could you just give the quick like background on what it is to everybody who's listening, and then why you're doing it, and you can go from there.
Sure. Well, we're seeing Miami as kind of growing as a bigger tech hub, and just more of a business opportunity. You know, for years it's been just hospitality and real estate mainly. So now the tech has been really ballooned here, so to speak, and it's strong and it's getting stronger. So there's really not been there is not a great e-commerce conference happening here in Miami. We saw this as an opportunity. We saw this as an opportunity for us being here. This is our home. And we see this, like I said, as an opportunity to put this event together, do a quality work. We're seeing this as more exclusive in a sense. It's more for brands that are doing at least $5 million a year in the e-com revenue, right? It may not be ideal for someone, you know, kind of starting up just today. So it's really, we're having this, so to speak, you know, getting together great brands to talk about their experiencing their challenges, as well as tech partners talking. So there's going to be a really great conversations, networking, amazing food. You're in Miami. We're going to have some great views right there in the City Brickell Center. So it's like, and it's on February 23rd. So for folks who are freezing up north, you know, it's a great opportunity to come. But really, the event will deliver a lot of value to both, you know, both sides. It's the tech side and the brand side. We really are different in the sense from other tech conferences, where we're going to have about 80% of audience will be retailers and brands, right? Versus and 20% tech. So the others is the opposite. We have a great keynote speaker, Kevin O'Leary. So always exciting to be with him, taking some pictures, you know.
Yeah.
Talking to him, and we'll see. So
yeah, I wasn't as excited about him until I started watching Shark Tank with my girlfriend over winter break, and now I'm watching it all the time, and I am pretty excited to get to meet him in person. That'll be cool. But it's funny that you mentioned the split between tech partners and brands, because someone the other week was asking me like if I've ever gotten a client at a conference. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, it's just to go meet with my tech partners, because that's all there is that are at these conferences is tech partners. There aren't any brands. But I'm excited because it feels like it's the perfect size. Like, it's not so small that it isn't worth the time and effort to put it together, but it's not so big where it's not targeted and you can't have like real meaningful conversations. And then the speakers and the presentations that they're going to be putting out, I think are really cool, but also relevant. And I'm looking forward to finally like learning something at one of these conferences.
Thank you. You pointed out some really important things that I forgot to. I mean, it's going to be some really great speakers. You guys should check it out, www.miami.com. So yeah, and having an opportunity where this conference is really going to be a different split between, you know, brands and retailers, where they get a lot more value. Well, so very exciting, and hopefully some great food too, you know. So you're in Miami.
I love the Miami food scene, so I'm sure that there will be no shortage of great food. Well, I'll make sure to include it in the show notes as well, where people can find the link to the event. But thank you so much for joining me and chatting here. I think there's a lot of good insights, both on the sort of agency operations side, but just e-commerce as a whole. And looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at the event.
Absolutely. Thanks. Great.
So before we hop off, though, can you let everybody know where they can find you online if they want to contact Absolute or potentially work with you all?
Sure. I mean, you can find me personally on LinkedIn, but we're at absoluteweb.com. We're in Miami, always excited. If you're, in the area, we're excited to sit down and meet. And yeah, we're here, absoluteweb.com.
Awesome. Well, I'll link that in the show notes for everybody listening. As always, this is Brandon Amoroso. You can find me at brandonamoroso.com or electricmarketing.com, and we'll see you next time.